Today, we're here with Breezy Beaumont, the head of growth at Correlated, the leading platform for product-led revenue. Breezy is also an expert in all things PLG and the host of the Product-Led Revenue podcast. Breezy, thanks for joining us today.
Worked for a number of software companies and also done some advising for early stage startup companies as well. And so a lot of that's been in the SaaS space. And so my background is a lot in marketing and demand gen, but as I moved more towards the growth marketing role and saw some of those full funnel metrics and the user journey across that the whole process from before they even know about us to when they're promoting us as a company. And so moving into that really got me focused in this idea of product-led revenue. So that's where I am today.
It's a recent innovative marketing campaign that you have conducted.
We've been really focused on getting the people who are on the front lines of what we're talking about to be involved in the conversation. And so what I mean when I say that is we're working with a lot of companies who are either product-led today, and maybe we're from the start, and also some companies who are thinking about moving in a product-led direction. And so this is such a new and innovative space. And although there's been some PLG companies who, have been here for a long time, and we could list off all the names of those big ones like Zoom and Atlassian and all these others, there's still a lot to be learned there. We run these bi-weekly chats. So that's a good way for these product-led revenue conversations are a great way for revenue leaders to kind of get together and talk live about it. We also have the podcast where we do sort of a deeper dive on one company. And generally, these are some of the leaders in the product-led space. So that's that product-led revenue podcast you talked about. And the other thing we're doing is these sort of like live Q&A events. So different from those biweekly chats, bringing in some of the people who are on the front lines, and not running it like a webinar, but really running it like anyone who's there can participate and ask questions and add their thoughts. But we have a couple experts obviously on the panel who help to run that discussion. So that's sort of been the ways, and then of course creating blog content and other things too. But those have been some of the primary ways that we're helping to bring those people together.
Are you able to measure any of those results or see that as far as sales, or is it more just around really building a brand in a community?
Attribution is always tricky, and I am actually on a little bit of the side that I'm not a huge fan of the whole attribution piece, because I think a lot of what you capture in attribution is false. It's kind of leading you in the wrong direction, and even though you might be catching that like first touch point, that first touch point is your first measurable touch point, not actually your first touch point. They might have heard of you at some random dinner that they went to and someone mentioned your name or their cousin, or they might have seen your stuff on LinkedIn like 10 times before they actually convert on it. But that being said, it is important to measure what you can. And as much as we can measure, we will. And that way we can help to put more resources as to what's working. And so, we do have HubSpot as our marketing automation platform. And so we are able to capture a decent amount of data that way. We also do some manual data entry also. So, when a salesperson jumps on the call and asks, hey, how did you hear about us? And they say, oh, wait, I saw your post on LinkedIn. Great. We'll kind of make that mark in our CRM. And so it's a little bit of, collecting the data that we can that's there. And then also some of it is manual. And then another piece of it, we know that they're learning about us across these various platforms and events and things that we're doing. And we're just a little in the dark on it. And, as a team, we're accepting of that, and we know that it still works. So we're willing to push forward.
What is one marketing mindset or strategy that you're getting really excited about for 2022?
I think that marketers, especially in the product-led space, are becoming more product experts, which I think is great. And I think in the past, you knew what the product was for the company you worked for, but I think if people really thought about it and maybe were honest with themselves, they didn't have a ton of product knowledge. And so something that I think is exciting is that more marketers are getting more product knowledge. They're hanging out in the places where their customers and prospects are to not only talk with them, but just to listen to them and like hear what they're saying so that we can help to solve their problems in the best way possible. So I think that's one. The other thing is that, and it's again related to product, but that marketers are becoming a little bit more closely aligned with the product team, because one of the big pieces of product in this PLG space is virality, or network effects, or whatever the word you want to use for it is. And as a marketer, we have that brain to think about, okay, how can I make virality a piece of our product? And so by working with the product team, you can help to not only get the people initially in the product or excited about it and then initially in the product, but help to really create that exponential growth on the other end of it.
On the flip side of that, what's maybe one mindset or strategy that you're ready to see end this year?
I think, gating content, nobody needs it. Marketers who are focused on strict lead gen and not thinking about, okay, lead gen is, okay, let's measure that. But like, in my opinion, like that's the bottom, that's still not the top thing we want to be thinking about. We want to be thinking about, when does that lead become an MQL, or when does that MQL create an opportunity, and thinking about that and really breaking it down per channel. And so that's something that I think more marketers and revenue leaders are doing going forward, is not just thinking about, okay, how many leads are we getting? How many MQLs are we getting? But they're actually looking at, how are these converting through our pipeline, and how are they converting when we look at them on a per channel basis? And how can we then optimize based off of that? So it's not, we want more leads. We want higher quality leads, not higher quantity. I mean, I guess ideally both, right? But like, if you had to pick one, in most scenarios, if you break down the numbers on conversion, you might actually end up just choosing the lower quantity, because the conversion rates are higher. So I think that's something that I think I'd like to see go, is teams who are just, focusing on sheer top of the funnel numbers and not looking at how that relates to revenue.
Some current top tools in your marketing tech stack that you're just obsessed with right now?
I mentioned, so HubSpot is our marketing automation tool. That's sort of like your classic, and we definitely really enjoy doing that. We are also running LinkedIn ads. So that's one. We have, what's it called? Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is how we actually track our podcast to see how that's performing, across the various channels. And then I'd say, and I don't know if this should really, technically it doesn't make a tool stack, but I would include it in there, is that a tool for me is the various Slack communities out there. That's a big tool. And just organic social too. But the Slack communities and LinkedIn and other social channels really give you a peek into how your customer and prospects are thinking about various problems. And then it gives you a channel to reach them there too.
I wanted to give you a chance to promote your services. Maybe give a plug for anyone looking to better measure their product-led revenue, or how they can get in touch.
So at Correlated, we help teams who are either product-led growth companies or companies who are, focusing on expansion. And so what we do is we help to either convert all those free trial, freemium and other users coming in, help convert those to paid, or help to find those expansion opportunities. So we're generally working with bunch of the leading revenue teams out there from product-led organizations, and helping to get that product usage data into the hands of the people who actually need it, so that they can take action on it, push it into downstream tools like SalesLoft and Outreach and Slack, and really kick that data into motion. So if you want to learn more, you can go to getcorrelated.com, or you can always just find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, and I am always happy to share best practices or help you in your process.